Welcome, welcome, welcome. I've tried to make my face and the lighting look good, but it looks like poo, so we'll just continue how it is. And the video looks real grainy because, of course, I'm doing this on my home computer, which is lousy, so apologies for that. Can't do anything about it. Moving on. Topic for this is well, I don't know really what I'm going to call the video, but the gist of it is you're in the Matrix now, okay? And I probably will put some allusion to how you get out. Illusion, I don't know if that's the right word, but some kind of explanation of what it is and maybe how to navigate it. Right, so without further ado, you're saying to me, Dan, how the hell, explain this Matrix thing to me. Because when I'm talking about Matrix, I'm talking about the film, okay? We've all seen it. Keanu, and I don't know anybody else's names that's in it, but you know, it's a great film. I mean, when I first saw it, I was blown away by it. You know what I mean? And I watch it all the time still because there's lots of little clues still in there. And of course, you watch the explanations by other people, but they ain't really tapping into what it's really about. Okay, there's different levels of matrices, and although there's an ultimate matrices, which I believe is the whole illusion of reality, we're not getting into that, because what I believe the film is getting at, alluding to, if that's the right word, I don't know. I don't want no spelling police either at the end of this. If I've said something wrong, I don't really care, okay? So don't even get into telling me about, oh, Dan, you're saying this bit wrong, or you've said something wrong here. Whatever, you know, I mean, it's just a waste of time getting into it. Anyway, so there's different levels of matrices, okay? We're going to be talking about the one that I think the film really is talking about, and that is the legal system. That's the matrix that you're in right now. It is the society that is built around us, okay? And within that society, we have to put certain rules into effect that govern how everybody behaves to one another, right? Well, this is the legal system. Now, believe it or not, the whole legal system is based on fiction, okay? Fictional beings, okay? These fictional beings are able to be controlled, okay? And in order to explain all that, I have to get into natural law and what natural law is compared with man-made law, okay? So the matrix that you're in right now is completely created by man, so I have to keep looking down so I can see if I'm in the right position or whatever for the camera. But the whole system is created by man, okay? The whole illusionary system is created by man, right? Difficult to give you an example, because if I said to you, the thing that you call a driving license is actually not real. The person on that driving license is actually not real. There's a reason why it's called a person, okay? And I suppose that's where I should start with the explanation, because once you realize the difference between the person and a real man, okay, and when I say man, I mean man or woman, okay? We're not going to get too technical today, but man or woman is man, okay? When I talk about the person compared to the man, okay, this is basic legal stuff here. You know, in a court of law, the judge knows the difference between a real man and a person. I can guarantee it 100% of the time, okay? You are acting now in the real world around you, you know, as real as it, without getting into real spiritual stuff, as real as it appears to you now, you are acting as a person within that world, within the world, okay? the word person, right? Let's break this down. It comes from persona, okay? Persona, I believe, comes from, imagine hundreds of years ago when they did a play, right? They'd have, a bunch of people playing different parts, okay? And what they would do is they'd have a mask, okay, with a little megaphone attached to it, and they'd play a part, and then they'd switch out and play another part. I don't know if that's completely true, but the idea is that the person, the persona, is this mask that goes. It's the mask that covers the real person's face, the real man's face, and that gives you the illusion of a different person. Without sounding too crazy, we're going around in circles here with what I'm saying, but the idea is that a person is not real. It's fiction. It's a made-up way, okay, of having everybody agree on a set of rules and then having to stick to that set of rules without any problems. Let's put it that way. So basically, everything that you know about yourself right now is a made-up illusion, okay? The social security number, the driving license, the passport, okay? Those are not real things in the sense of that is a real man or a real man or woman of the world there, okay? What they're dealing with is a person that is in the system, okay? It's so difficult to explain this, and it takes a little bit of time to get your head wrapped around that there's actually a difference between what you're seeing. And I mean, I use the driving license because that's the obvious thing to use. Most people have a driving license, unless you're a kid, of course. But most people have a driving license. Some people, the passport things are hit and miss. And of course, the social security number thing, that doesn't really. Actually, it's probably easier to imagine that that's a created entity because it doesn't have your picture on it. And this thing of putting a picture on there to connect the real man somehow to the person is, again, another illusion that they use in order for you to connect with this fake entity that they've created for you, okay? Without going into natural law, it's difficult to explain. But, alright, this is the start of the video, I mean, we're 8 minutes in, and already we've established, okay, I've tried to establish with you that the Matrix is the legal system. It's basically everything that has been created in society, because everything's governed by the rules, okay? That's what society is. It's a group of people together governed by a set of rules, okay? That is the Matrix. There's no other way of saying it. The legal system is the Matrix, okay? In order to come out of the Matrix, you have to now identify yourself as a real man, which we all know we're real men, okay? But there is a certain amount of contracts, okay, like a driving license, like a social security, like anything to do with the government is a contract that you've entered into, whether you know it or not, okay, you've entered into that contract. There's a little bit of a secret there, though, because the government know that they can't enter into an agreement with a real man, you see. So they have this sort of idea that if people don't know natural law, you see, they kind of get stuck. It's kind of this little loop where they're kind of stuck. They don't really know how to get out of it, okay? Because, let's see, how do I explain this now? How do I go forward from here? Even if you realize that you're a real man, okay, and you say you had to go into court for something, you say, no, I'm a real man, this stuff doesn't apply to me, you see. The problem is, you're still trapped there, because you're still using everything that they've sort of placed on you. You know, if they were to ask you your birthday, for instance, okay, you would say, whatever it was, that's the time I came out of my mother's womb, you know, that's when I was born in hospital, you know, that's my birthday. Well, without getting too technical with where the word birth comes from, and I'll just go into this real briefly, but the system of law that we have right now is canon law, right? Basically, canon law, in fact, I don't even want to get into where it originates and all this nonsense, but basically, I'm going to tell you right now, if you go up and look canon law up, if you go and look up Sea People, if you go and start looking into all this stuff, where I think this law's come from, I think it's come from, well, it's been passed down from ancient times. I mean, this stuff's been around before the time of the Bible, you know. This is the same stuff that they've been living with for tens of thousands of years. But if you look into it, okay, canon law is essentially maritime law, which is essentially the law of the sea. Then you can look up where the term birth comes from and the whole idea of birthing, birthing a vessel. And if you start looking into this stuff, you'll start to understand the way their system works. Yeah, the way the Matrix works. And I say their system because this is essentially being run by real men and women. You know, it's not it's not something that just popped up. You know, it's not no computer program, okay? But once you start understanding all of that, once you start figuring out how the legal system works and the difference between the legal system and natural law, that's another thing you want to go and look up, is natural law, because I don't want to make this video like 2 hours long. It's got to be under 20 minutes for somebody to sit and watch it, and I've already waffled enough. So you basically got two things to go and look up: the legal system and natural law. The best place to start is natural law. Once you understand natural law, you'll start saying, hey, now I'm starting to see where the legal system is nothing like natural law, okay? Well, there's certain similarities there. They've obviously taken parts of natural law and incorporated it. That's the basis for where the law starts out, the law of man starts out. But to cut a long story short, the whole legal system is there to protect people that run the system, okay? It offers a huge amount of protection to people, okay? And that's why it's done. And the other reason why it's done is you cannot contract with a natural man or woman. You just can't do it. I'm going to cover that in another video. So if you want to know about natural law, which you're going to need to know about if you want to know about how to get out of the damn matrix, you better watch that video, I suppose. So I'll do that next, I suppose. It shouldn't take too long if I don't go off on any tangents. And, you know, I mean, I could sit and talk about this stuff for hours upon end. And I'm hoping I can get this done under 20 minutes. So I'm watching the clock right now, and I'm drinking my tea. And that, I mean, a cup of tea is only going to last 20 minutes anyway. So, right, now I've completely forgotten where I'm at. So, I'm going to touch on natural law a little bit now, because you need to know, really, to know the differences, you've got to know what natural law is. There's no two ways about it, right? So without going into natural law too much, natural law, okay, is the laws that we see around us, okay, that govern our reality, okay, so like gravity. I don't want to get into a debate about the theory of gravity too much, but we know that if you drop an object, it falls to the earth, okay? Things like that, you know. We know about water cycles. We know about light and dark, you know, these kind of things. natural laws within the realm that which we live, within this reality, okay? So, the idea of natural law governing man is to look around us, observe what governs the known universe, and then apply those laws to man, okay? It's pretty simple stuff. So, and I'm going to rattle through this real quick now. We know that all men are equal, okay? We can all breed with one another. Doesn't matter what colour you are, but we can all breed with one another, and we can all create viable offspring. That means we're all equal, all right? Without getting too technical, that means we're all equal, okay? Number 2, we have an inherent knowledge, knowing that we shouldn't harm another human, okay? We also know if we're all equal, we shouldn't do something to somebody else that we wouldn't want done to ourselves. Or if somebody doesn't want that done to them, you shouldn't do it to them. So to harm somebody's physical being, and there's a few other things that I could get into there about why we shouldn't do that. But if you look in nature, everything is in balance, okay? So that means we shouldn't take something from somebody, okay, that belongs to somebody else, and then expect not to give something in return, okay? Because if we take something, we've thrown everything out of balance. So we know everything has to be balanced in the universe. And like I said, I'm going to go into this in more detail in another video. But the basis of natural law is basically don't violate anybody else. Don't steal from somebody else, basically. That is the simplest basis, and there's a guy that talks about this stuff. I've forgotten his name. I'll have to talk about. I can't remember his name. Bloody hell, what is it? If you look up natural law, he's probably one of the guys that pops up all the time. Anyway, we basically know we shouldn't steal from anybody else. So that means don't take somebody else's life, don't take somebody else's possessions, don't take somebody else's freedom. Okay, simple things. Okay, now. So we know we can't take stuff from other people, right? We also know that we're all equal, okay? That again goes to don't take something that belongs to somebody else. If we're all equal, I can't come and take your life because it's equal to my life. So if I take your life, I should expect my life to be taken in exchange. You kind of follow the logic here. It's not difficult to understand. It's all laid out so easy. It's just common sense. Everybody can figure this stuff out for themselves. In fact, without even watching a video, if you just start thinking about this stuff, you can figure it out. Anyway, we're creeping up on the 20-minute mark, so let's cut to the chase. We know we're equal. We know we shouldn't harm somebody else. We shouldn't take somebody else's stuff. We know that we're the top of the food chain, pyramid, whatever you want to call it, without getting crazy Illuminati symbols going on here. If we're the top of that pyramid, that means we have dominion over everything that's in the earth, okay, or on the earth, right, or the whole of the earth, okay, so we have equal dominion over the earth, right? Now, why do we need the matrix, okay? Well, there's a couple of, there's one little, this is a secret, like nobody's talking about this, right? So I gotta get it out there. This is why I'm doing this video. In order to control people, you have to have a contract with somebody, right? To bind them to do what you want them to do, okay? Whether they know they're in a contract or not is irrelevant, and how they enter into the contract is kind of irrelevant, because most people don't really want to enter into contract, but it's kind of one of those things where if you want to get something accomplished, you've got to at the end of the day. But the people in power know that there ain't no holding anybody to anything if you don't have them in a contract. Well, guess what? You can't put a real man in a contract. Why can't you put a real man in a contract, Dan? I'm going to tell you why you can't. This is going to have to be 30 minutes long, sorry. Why can't you put a real man in a contract? Well, without getting too technical and going into evolution, right, which is poppycock, but before I scare you off on that one, I'm not the same man I was 20 years ago, right? I can see it in my face, right? I'm getting old. I'm getting wrinkles, you know. Bloody hell. 20 years ago, I couldn't even grow this bit of beard, you know. So I can tell I'm a changing person. You know, when I say person in that respect, I'm talking about being a man, okay? I can tell I'm a changing man, okay? And I cannot help but, when you start recognizing the difference between man and person, it's very difficult to get back out of that mindset of just using the word person and referring to yourself as a man rather than a person, okay? So excuse me if I call myself a person or call other people persons. You know, there might be some times when I do that and I'm meaning man, and you can probably infer when I'm kind of meaning those things. But I'm aging, right? And every second I'm aging. Every moment which is indivisible in time, I'm aging, right? I'm not even the same man I was 20 years ago. You know, I've got different ideas of how the world functions. I've got different ideas on life. Although a lot of the root things are still there, I'm a different person. I'm a different man. Catch myself again. And I'm different, okay? So let's ponder this question. If I make a contract 20 years ago with another man, okay, can there be an expectation that anything I say in that contract would apply to the man of the future? If the man of the future is a different man, it can't apply to the man of the future, okay? This is the big bloody secret that the powers that be, excuse me, don't want anybody to know. Because not only is the illusion the Matrix, but the illusion is keeping everybody in the Matrix when in fact there's not even any kind of lawful, there's no kind of natural law that keeps anybody in that Matrix, you know? There's not even a natural law that can keep people in that Matrix. So the foundation of the legal system, which is natural law, there's not even any foundation there to keep people in the Matrix. So there you go. That's the biggest secret that they don't want you to know right now. You're in a legal system, a fictitious system, you know, like a sci-fi novel, you know. Somebody's made this up. It's a soap opera, man, you know. And you have a character, and the illusion is that you play along with this character, and you don't realize in your own head that you're not actually the character. There is a separation there. Now, the powers that be know there's a separation there, and the powers that be know that a real man cannot be bound by anything. The only binding thing is nature itself to the real man. Okay? So if you break nature's laws, then now you're in trouble. Okay? Now you've got to settle the balance between whatever you've done and the right thing. You know, what's the right thing here? Anyway. So, I can't make a contract. As a real man, I cannot make a... Let's put it slightly differently, okay? When I'm talking about a contract, right, I'm talking about something that continues on in time, okay? I'm not talking about a transaction, okay? Even though a transaction technically is a contract, it's a contract usually in the here and now, or very much close to the here and now, okay? And I know there's going to be a bunch of people that want to pull me up on technical bits and bobs here, but I'm just trying to get the idea out, and believe you me, I already know what you're going to say, okay? So, by all means, put it in the bloody comments, because there'll be somebody out there that won't know, and I ain't got time. I haven't got time to go through all the comments and start answering stuff, okay? I do have time, but I just can't be bothered. It's as simple as that, you know. I mean, I've put videos up, you know, of DIY jobs and doing stuff that I enjoy doing. And I try to, you know, occasionally answer questions. But I know there's questions out there that I haven't answered for people. And it's just like, You know, I mean, I got other things going on in my life, you know. I'm not here to build a mega channel. I'm just here to let people know stuff that I found out, which you know, it's hard to come across this stuff. So, you know, trying to help people out here. So I've got to this idea now. The legal system is completely based on contracts. Okay, it's all contract law, essentially. So whenever you accept something, even without thinking you're in a contract, like a social security card or a driving license, that is a contract. Okay, you agree to abide by the rules that they set. Okay, when you accept that. Now, the fact of the matter is, though, is that a real man can't actually abide by a contract unless he wants to. Okay, so the idea of the legal system, it's all based on consent. Okay, so you know, you've decided that you're going to agree to those things. Now, you can't go and get a speeding ticket and say, I'm a real man, I'm not going to pay the speeding ticket. If you've popped out your driving license to the cop and signed their little ticket saying, I'm agreeing to that stuff, there are ways to get out of that. And you can say you're a real man, and you can get into that debate in court. But likelihood is, the problem that you've got is that, and this is where the Agent Smith thing comes in with the Matrix, is that everybody acts as Agent Smith. Unknowingly, they act as Agent Smith. So the judge probably has it, especially if they're, I would say, if they're a high up judge or a little bit older. You know, some of these younger judges might not quite know the whole system. But if they, the solid bet is that a judge has a fair idea of how the system works. Now, the bailiff, and all the officers of the court don't have a bloody clue what's going on. And I would be very surprised if a lot of lawyers even have a clue what's going on. Okay. If you're a high up lawyer, you may have an idea what's going on. The problem that they have, though, is with this illusion, is they couldn't. It would be very difficult for them to have a whole bunch of people that knew the system, and then a whole bunch of people. Well, I mean, that's what they really have. They do have this, but you know, I mean, I should probably not go into this because I haven't really thought about what I'm saying here properly, and it could get a bit sort of whiffly waffly what I'm going on about. But what I'm trying to get at is that the judge probably knows what's going on, you know, and if he doesn't like the look of you, even that, all he's got to do is say, arrest this, take him down, lock him up, and that's the end of it, you know. So you're never going to win. The problem is, once you walk into court with them, you're never going to win. And unfortunately, you got to walk into court to get everything settled out. Otherwise, they'll just send the officers to the house and arrest you and take you in and put you in the slammer. So it's kind of one of those situations which is, unless you're really versed in how to operate in a court, I would highly recommend avoiding it at all costs. And I would and not that I've ever been to court, and I don't intend on ever going to court, to tell you the truth. You know, if I got a speeding ticket, I don't know if I'd try my luck. You know, it's just easier to pay the fine. And I know it's not right, but at the end of the day, unless I was very comfortable in court, I wouldn't start up on that one, you know. So all these people you see harping on about being a sovereign citizen and all this bullshit, well, I'm kind of getting to the point now where I think the sovereign citizen movement might just be a kind of capture thing run by the system in order to kind of wheedle out these people that obviously know a little bit about how the Matrix is sort of operating, and they're starting to realise that, well, best thing to do is yank them off the streets before they got a chance to do anything. Start locking them up immediately. So I would say you've got to be very careful pick your battles very carefully. And of course, if you are going to start operating as a real man or woman, there's a certain level of responsibility that goes with that. I mean, there really is only wrong or right at the end of the day, okay? There isn't any of this wishy-washy subjective, oh, well, if you take something from somebody else, a real man or woman, and that doesn't mean, oh, well, I can steal it from this guy because he believes I could go and nick this from this guy because he believes he's the person, and that's not real, Well, you got to really think through all your sort of things here. Not that I'm saying go out and steal something from somebody, but what I'm saying is it's not as easy as saying McDonald's is a corporation and they didn't charge me for these fries here, but I'm going to eat them anyway without going back and paying for them. You've got to weigh that up in your own head, whether what you're doing is right or wrong. Okay, now, let's say you were buying something from a family business, the same deal, right? Instead of a big chain that clearly is a corporation, clearly is fictitious, okay? Now let's put that question back onto, why am I even going into this now? This is way too, but let's put that question back onto, an individual, that is still operating within the fictitious realm, but they don't realize it, and now you're taking not paying for a portion of fries from them, and you're eating it. Now, in that case, one that's living under natural law would be hard pushed to make a case for it's wrong, it's right to just, well, they didn't charge me for them, so I'm just going to eat them anyway. That's the time when you should turn around and say, look, you didn't charge me for these fries. Here's the money for them. So what I'm saying is, if you're going to operate within the real realm of man or woman, then you need to think about your moral standards a lot more. Within the fictitious system, those entities really don't have a claim to own or possess anything that's material in this realm, because they're all just made up. It's all wishy-washy. They're all ghosts. There's no material physicality to them, so they can't therefore have any authority over something that is material or physical. With that being said, I think that's a good place to end the film. Why am I calling it a film? End this video, right? If you want to know a bit more about natural law, I'm going to do another video on that. We're at 33 minutes. What a great time to finish. But if you want to know something about natural law, I'm going to do a video on that. I'm going to delve into the legal system on some other videos. I'm going to delve into a whole bunch of stuff, and I just don't have time to do a great video on it. I mean, this is what I can do right now. And as I get the videos out, I'll try and improve them, This is all stuff that's out there. You can find this out if you dig. But as I know it now, there are a few people making certain links with the legal system and the Matrix film. But if you want a blueprint that tells you about the system, I mean, anything by the Wachowskis, or whatever they're called. I call them the siblings now because you don't know what they are anymore. But anything by that pair, there's a lot of esoteric hidden meaning in there, and it's not that hidden actually. I recently watched Jupiter Ascending, and that has got a ton of stuff about the legal system in there. I mean, it's absolutely chock-packed full. So there's another good one to watch. But anyway, that'll have to do for this one. Catch me on the next one, and I'm gonna do 3 or 4 of these straight away. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed. if there's a question, you can try putting it in the comments. I do read them sometimes when they blink up, and if it's something that I can answer in another video and help you out, I'll try and do that, okay? Or if it's a good topic for another video, I'll do it, okay? I'm eager to kind of interact with a few people on this, but again, you'll probably preach, you know, I mean, there are a few people out there that can get a bit preachy. I do it as well in comments, and not that I'm a know-it-all, but I already know a lot of this stuff, so you know, I'm happy to hear it. Anyway, one other little nugget to take away from this is, and think about this for the next video, is your birthday, okay, is the day they created the person. The real man was created at another time. And, well, let's just tell you, so it ain't too difficult. It was 9 months prior to that when you were created, when the spark of creation came into existence. So if you're ever asked in any situation, that is the difference between the real man and the person, is the date of creation compared to the birthday, which I think I tried to get to, but I got sidetracked earlier on. So anyway, with that little nugget, that little gemstone, I'll catch you on the next one. Ciao!